Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Charity Village webinar. We will just wait a moment for everyone to join the session. Okay, we will get started. Welcome to today's Charity Village webinar. My name is Mercedes, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Specialist with Charity Village. As we are gathering here on a virtual platform, it is important to acknowledge that each of us is joining this webinar from the ancestral or unceded lands of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nation people. As a settler on this land, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Anishinaabe, which includes the Ojibwe of Fort William First Nation. For those who may be joining a Charity Village webinar for the first time, Charity Village is Canada's largest online job board for the nonprofit sector. In addition to our online job board, organizations can also post volunteer positions. So if you are looking for work or to recruit talent in the sector, Charity Village is a great place to start. We also have a ton of excellent resources for nonprofit professionals, including online courses, articles, fundraising tools, and free webinars like the one we are presenting today. Before we start today's webinar, I would like to quickly run through some housekeeping items. You may have noticed when you joined the webinar that you were automatically put on mute. Since we have hundreds of participants in today's session, it is important for us to minimize the amount of background noise so that everyone can clearly hear the presentation. But you can still ask questions and make comments using the question box at the bottom of the Zoom control panel. Look for that at the bottom of your screen. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar, so please submit your questions as you think of them, and we will do our best to get to as many as possible. You can also email your questions to webinars@charityvillage.com. If you happen to encounter any technical issues with the webinar, whether with viewing the presentation or with the audio, please let us know in the question box or by sending us an email. We will do our best to get any technical difficulties resolved as quickly as possible, but in a worst case scenario, please remember that we are recording today's webinar and we will send you the full recording by email tomorrow. So if you get called away or disconnected, you will still be able to view the full presentation. We are pleased to offer ASL interpretation for the webinar and are eager to welcome Melissa Hozak, the ASL interpreter for today's session. I would also like to welcome our presenters for today, Amanda Mastronardi, Project Manager at Community Living Essex County, and Ingrid Mushta, the Director of Special Projects and Innovation at the Ontario Disability Employment Network. Welcome.
Thank you, Mercedes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the session on breaking down barriers to knowledge exchange. As Mercedes mentioned, my name is Amanda Mastronardi. I'm the project manager of RealXchange Knowledge Translation and Transfer with Community Living Essex County. And joining me today, I have the pleasure of introducing Ingrid Mushta, who is the Director of Special Projects and Innovation with Odin. I know we did hear a land acknowledgement earlier, but I do think it's important that we recognize that though we're virtual and we're all in kind of different areas of our province and beyond, I just want to say that in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we are acknowledging that in this virtual session, we're gathered today on the customary and traditional lands of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people of Turtle Island. Now, if you do not know how to acknowledge the land in which you are on the screen before you is a website, native-land.ca. We are able to enter your address or your location, and the website will actually generate information about the lands on which you live and work. So a really handy tool to keep in your toolbox. What we hope you'll take away from our session today are the following objectives. You'll learn about the Real Xchange and how we can support the development of service provider personnel. We'll talk about why mentorship is an effective way to develop skills, and we'll share more information about how you can participate in the Real Xchange mentorship program. But first, I'd like to start with a little bit of history and take it back to Real Xchange's humble beginnings. Now, we weren't always Real Xchange. We started off as a Real Change initiative. And so Real Xchange came from that Real Change initiative, which worked with the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services to develop ways to transform service delivery in the DS sector. An idea was born to create a platform where service providers could share information and learn from each other. And that's where Real Xchange came to fruition. Today, Real Xchange is an online hub for resources, knowledge exchange, collaboration, and learning with our offerings designed for organizations that provide those services to people with disabilities. Now, we started off as a hub specifically for agencies with developmental in the developmental services sector, but we quickly realized that the information that we were gathering and the information that we were posting could be applicable to any organization providing services to people with disabilities. The RealXchange website provides a platform where service providing professionals can access timely and relevant information, as well as the ability to register and participate in many of our collaborative events, and we have quite a few to choose from. Access to RealXchange is member-based, and so you will need to log in to access the free resources that await inside. Since its inception in January of 2018, our platform has grown to include 1,661 valued members, and we're connected to over 470 agencies across Ontario and beyond. So I think next we'd like to go into a Slido poll. So if you're not familiar with Slido, if you have your phone handy, you can open up your camera and hover over the QR code, or if you prefer, you can join at slido.com and enter the number that you see there in the bottom corner. We just want to know, how familiar are you with the RealXchange network and hub? So we'll give everyone a few minutes to open up their cameras or access the slido.com website and help us to see where you are with the RealXchange and how much you know about it. So
Ingrid here, Ingrid speaking here. I find it so interesting, this question, because even though the presentation invitation mentioned our name, we still have a lot of people in the poll that are indicating that they're not very familiar.
And truly, that's what we're here for. So I'm happy in a way, because now we can bring this, this knowledge exchange, this resource hub to everyone who's not familiar. So those are some overwhelming numbers there, but that's good. That's why we're here.
And there is just a question on the Q&A from a participant who's asking how to join on a browser. So it would be about opening your browser and typing slido.com, and it would ask for a number when you open that web page, and the number for the poll is 6576763. Oh, and we're having some indication that the browser is not working. It looks like the browser is not working with the number provided.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Apologies, everybody.
Well, I think the numbers are where they are, and that's totally fine. I mean, the majority is, not everybody is familiar, or not familiar at all, not aware of any of this work, which again, that's why we're here. So I'm happy to bring this information. I'm sure Ingrid is also happy to bring this information to this group. So thank you for participating in that poll, and hopefully the next one will work. So again, thank you for participating. It's my hope by the end of this session and by the end of this presentation that you will see the value in RealXchange. And if you're not already members of RealXchange, that you'll sign up to be one today. So in 2020, the Knowledge Translation and Transfer, or KTT, portion of our platform came to existence. And we are a partnership actually with the Ontario Disability Employment Network, Partners for Planning, and ourselves at Community Living Essex County. And we're supported by the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services. Our partnership was formed through this initiative, and it's been nurtured through communication, as any partnership is. But not just any communication, open, honest, real communication. And I feel like the way that we collaborate with one another really has pushed us to that success that we're feeling and that we're experiencing. And this has allowed us to form, strong connections, a strong bond, and really helps us to achieve that mentality of, together we are stronger. So together with our partners, Odin, Partners for Planning, Community Living Essex County, we're helping to bring knowledge and information to the DS sector and beyond in alignment with our ministry's reform plan called Journey to Belonging. So the ministry is working on a long-term vision for developmental services where people with developmental disabilities fully belong in their communities as they should and are supported to live the lives they choose. So key commitments from this reform plan are putting people first, improving their service experience, and improving quality and accountability. So just a little bit about our members, or our partners, sorry. First, we have the Ontario Disability Employment Network, ODIN, which is a provincial network of employment service providers, and they're united to increase employment opportunities for people who have a disability. Members are from every corner of the province, and they support people of all disability types. And on the screen there, you can see that there are over 130 members of ODIN, which is incredible, and they're constantly growing, which is just a beautiful thing. Our next partner, Partners for Planning, are a nonprofit organization started by and for families with a relative with a disability. P4P works to empower people who have a disability and their families by providing inspiration, strategies, and resources to plan for a good life and a secure future. And lastly, Community Living Essex County is a nonprofit charitable organization that's been committed to assisting people of all ages who have an intellectual disability and their families throughout Essex County since 1961. So that was just a brief intro of the three partners, but I want to talk more about what knowledge translation and transfer is. It's a fancy term, and people are like, what does it really mean? So I often like to use this image when speaking about KTT. It's truly one of my favorite. I think it depicts it so well. So essentially on one end, we have person A who has questions, looking for information, searching for information, but they don't know where to go. And on the other hand, we have person B who has the ideas, who has information, but doesn't have a way of, transferring it to person A who's searching for that information. So that we can also see a gap or a cavern exists between person A and person B while they're on their little mountaintops. And they really have no way of, again, transferring that information. So something was needed in our sector and beyond to help bridge that gap between person A and person B with the transformation of knowledge into use through exchange, dissemination, dialogue, and collaboration amongst people who would benefit from it. And that's where you see RealXchange coming up as that bridge, helping person A to cross over and access the resources that person B has. And that's what RealXchange hopes to provide and does provide. So we recognize that need to bridge the gap where information passes freely from agency to agency. Those who have information share it, and those who need information have access to it, easy access to it. And the knowledge that's gained there can be reshared and continuously improved upon because information always changes, right? So that's how we sustain knowledge transfer across agencies and ultimately across our sector and beyond. It's not just about the developmental services sector. Our goal is to have RealXchange become an information highway, one that's efficient, it's productive, and it produces a cost savings to all people who are searching for knowledge and information when they need it. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is create a hub of knowledge translation and transfer that will lead to better outcomes for people that we serve who have disabilities. We aim to give our RealXchange members access to accurate information at their fingertips. And best of all, I think I already mentioned it, but the information here is free. We hope to be at a point someday where all new information is passing through RealXchange so that it kind of alleviates the need for you having to go look for it. Making RealXchange essentially your one-stop shop when you're looking for information that could assist you when providing services to people with disabilities. So through RealXchange, we bring this knowledge to our members via three main pillars on our site. They are knowledge exchange, collaboration, and mentoring. So under the knowledge exchange section, you will be able to access learning modules and webinars based on successful practices created for busy service providers. Under our collaboration pillar, you can join virtual conversations through one of our many collaborative events. We have innovation forums, we host tech talks, and we've also recently introduced something called Heads Together, where members from service providing agencies come together to tackle common problems. They help brainstorm solutions and offer varied perspectives on a variety of topics. The beauty of the Heads Together session and one of our most well-attended sessions is that they are not recorded, whereas the innovation forums and tech talks are. But not recording our Heads Together sessions really allows for people to be open, allows them to be honest, and really just raw talking about the issues that they're facing, and allows people to let their guard down and share, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going through. Does anybody out there have a solution for us? And so we've seen really great success in our Heads Together sessions. And that was just by eliminating that recording feature for that particular session. And lastly, we have our mentorship pillar. So as I mentioned earlier, we do have a mentorship. I'm not sure if I actually mentioned that we have a mentorship program, but we'll talk quite a bit about it today. We have seen many successful mentorship relationships and happy mentees and mentors alike since its inception, since its beginning. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later. I'll now pass it on to Ingrid, who will share more about the work that Odin has done to support the work of the KTT initiative on Real Xchange. Ingrid, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you to Charity Village for hosting us today. Odin is proud to be an active member of the KTT Hub and supporting the work of the Hub and the network at large. We bring a focus on employment and we bring expertise and experience on that sector, on the work that the Hub is doing. We highlight resources or practices that have advanced the creation and delivery of employment support programs. And we continue to work on developing resources that can support employment service sector and in reality any sector where collaboration and partnerships are a cornerstone for the impact that organizations are looking to achieve. So just to give you an example, in 2019, Odin produced the Partnership Guidebook. That's the graphic you see in there. And that came from research that Odin did on partnerships and collaborations in the employment service sector in Ontario. The research showed us that there are many organic partnerships out there, but when we looked at those partnerships that were most successful, those that clearly identified the roles and expectations of the organizations that were coming together, and those partnerships that were documented were truly the most impactful and the most successful. So as a result of that research, we put together this guidebook to help organizations do exactly that. Formalize your interest for coming together and creating a partnership. In 2021, we produced the Change Management Workbook, and I'll speak a little bit more about that in the next slide. Presently in Ontario, our sector is experiencing a lot of change. We are going through what is called employment service transformation for organizations that are providing employment supports. And we are going through Journey to Belonging, as Amanda has already alluded to, for organizations in the developmental sector. So the Change Management Workbook, it's really timely, a resource that organizations can use to organize themselves as they're navigating change. The Reimagining Change is a workbook that is divided into 3 sections. Part number 1 is Introduction to Change. And it really comes about because a lot of people haven't quite figured out the type of change that they're wanting to implement or that they're currently experiencing. So through a series of checklists, you can determine and actually verbalize the type of change that your organization is navigating. Part 2 is understanding, planning, and executing different types of change. And it provides the organization that's using it with a background and the necessary resources to build and execute a change plan. This section includes a number of worksheets and templates to support the work that is being carried on. And I should mention these are all online resources, so they can be reused. You don't have to print anything, and they're livable in the sense that we continue to add information to the resources. Part 3 is communicating and processing change. And that helps an organization to really take stock of the change after the fact. And it provides resources that they can use so that they can communicate change to their stakeholders. It's also an opportunity to just sit back and reflect on what you have learned and accomplished from the changes that you have made. So again, the resources are online, they are free. I'm mindful of the fact that I forgot to put a QR code, but after I'm done my speaking part, I'll put a new URL link on the chat for people to go and visit. And I just wanted to give you an idea of the kind of resources that you can find in the books. So this is just a list, an online fillable template on the partnership guidebook that illustrates the kinds of questions you should be having in regards to your interest for creating a partnership. So what is the impact? What are the goals? What is the value of entering a formal partnership? And what would be the alternatives if things don't work out with the current collaborators that you have in mind? The next one is the change management workbook and just a series of fillable templates that help you navigate change, that help you prepare for the change and analyzing the change. That's just a very small snippet view of what those two resources offer. Here we have in the screen examples of learning modules that Odin has helped produce to support the development of those resources that Amanda was speaking about for the Knowledge Translation KTT Hub. Some of the topics include an introduction to Odin's disability awareness and confidence training for organizations, an introduction to the youth success strategy, and another module on how to really go into in-depth working with the change management workbook. Coming up, Onan is developing 3 new modules. The first one is providing insight on how to create safe and inclusive spaces for difficult conversations with family members, acknowledging with family members of people who have a disability and for whom you are providing services. Because we acknowledge that people have different experience of disability, and we want to reflect on that impact of disability and intersectionality. The second module will touch on emerging technologies and the impact of technologies such as artificial intelligence and virtual reality on employment service sector and beyond. And the last module will be a high-level overview of disability and accommodations for the not-for-profit sector. How do we create inclusive workplaces in the not-for-profit where asking for accommodation is done in a way that does not disrupt or does not put an onus on the person who is requesting the accommodation, but rather is part of an inclusive culture of belonging. So check back on the KTT for those releases. And lastly, Odin continues to collaborate, marketing and promoting the KTT Hub with other stakeholders, including disability groups, family networks, other service providers, such as educational service providers or healthcare providers. In the past, we have hosted a number of events to introduce and highlight the KTT and the resources on the Hub. And on September 13th, I'm just showing you an example, we supported the organization of a one-day event in Sudbury to promote the KTT Hub to a community, a number of community agencies in the Northern Ontario region. We had 16 organizations and 29 people in attendance, and the feedback was really positive. People really enjoyed coming together, networking, and hoping to collaborate in the future. So we encourage anyone in the call that if you wanted to see the KTT come to your region, let us know. Talk to Amanda and see if we can make that a reality. So for now, I'm going to pass on the microphone back to Amanda. I am mindful that we have a Slido activity coming up, so hopefully a couple of you are able to access the Slido, and I'm really sorry if it doesn't work for everybody.
Thank you, Ingrid. So as Ingrid mentioned, we do have a Slido coming up, but I do want to kind of gauge whether or not you've heard of Partners for Planning prior to attending today's session. So if we can launch that Slido, and again, hopefully it works for everyone. Just love to know where you're at with your knowledge about Partners for Planning. We'll give you just a few minutes to look at the different options and hopefully select one that that works. A little bit of fluctuation here. Some have heard it. Majority have not heard of Partners for Planning, which is interesting. So I'll be happy to share a little bit more about what Partners for Planning does. And sorry, can we go back to the slide? I don't know if there we go. Okay, so 50%. This is the first time hearing of Partners for Planning. Okay. Still a few responses coming in. It's always interesting to me that there's such a wonderful resource to have, and yet not many people have heard of them. So I hope that I can bring some light and shed some some information and some knowledge and bring that to you so that you can potentially use it in the services that you're providing. There we go. Okay, thank you for participating in that. So Partners for Planning is a nonprofit organization that supports people with a developmental disability and their families to be proactive for planning in their future. And so I truly feel like this should be a resource that everyone accesses and has access to. Partners for Planning was founded in 2009 by families and for families, really to help answer the question, who will love and protect our loved ones when we no longer can? That is really the basis of the work that they are providing and the basis of the resources that they are providing. Their vision is that people with a developmental disability participate as full citizens in their communities and have the opportunity to build inclusive, meaningful lives, a life of service, not in service. So a few of the ways in which they support these principles, P4P actually launched the Planning Network, and the website you'll see on the screen there. It's an online resource hub which provides free resources to people and their families. Over 45,000 people access the Planning Network every year, and hoping that number will even boost up further with those of you attending today accessing those resources. In addition, P4P offers over 30 live webcasts each year delivered to families around the province. Last year, they had over 80,000 people attend their webcasts, which is an incredible number. Like I said, the information is just so rich and so important to be able to implement in the work that you do, providing services to people with disabilities. Both the webcast topics and the resources on the Planning Network are developed around really a planning framework. This planning framework includes topics on financial planning, which is humongous and so important to start early. Legal planning, they talk about a home of one's own. They have information on supportive relationships and community contributions, as well as proactive planning. They also provide independent facilitation and planning supports to help people imagine and create a good life. They offer both virtual facilitation and facilitated workshops to families around the province. And so on RealXchange, we actually have a module about the independent facilitation called Living the Vision. So if you are interested in that, you can log into RealXchange after becoming a member, of course, and access that module and the wonderful resources within. Partners for Planning supports the work of the Knowledge Translation and Transfer Initiative through their offerings in the Professional Learning and Development webinar series. Key research findings are shared through these P4P produced webinars so that the findings can be adopted and really applied in our work. These sessions are archived on RealXchange for you to view, should you so choose. We do have a couple of really exciting topics coming up in the new year, but I'll have you stay tuned to RealXchange and the communications that we send out so that you know exactly what's coming up and when, and hopefully you'll be able to join. Next, I want to chat about a way in which we can overcome these knowledge barriers that we often experience. I feel a lot of sectors work in silos, and it doesn't have to be that way. So one way is through our RealXchange mentorship program. I mean, it's no surprise that we have an aging population in which we care for, but at the same time, we have an aging workforce and leaders in our sector who are nearing retirement. Lucky them. At RealXchange, we wanted to focus on planning for the future with some emphasis on succession planning, finding a way by which we can keep that tacit knowledge and those experiences and making sure those experiences are shared and embedded into the next crop or the fresh blood or new blood coming into the doors. Our mentorship program, such as this, helps to build capacity by developing and strengthening the skills, the knowledge, the abilities of individuals who are mentees that are learning from seasoned professionals in the DS sector. Our mentorship program was built systematically and from research from data-driven surveys, giving our members the category options that they felt were most needed, but also the categories they themselves would be most likely to seek mentorship in. So it's not like we just pulled these categories from wherever. We surveyed our members, those who are using our site, and asked them these important questions and had them develop our program initially from within. And so the 13 categories that you see before you came directly from our members. Next, I'd like to share a short video outlining the RealXchange mentorship program so that you can decide if this is something that you could see yourself doing or participating in, whether as a mentor or mentee, or in some instances, both.
Hi, my name is Amanda Mastronardi, and I'm the project manager of RealXchange Knowledge, Translation, and Transfer. Are you an experienced leader in the DS sector with knowledge to share? Or maybe you're new to DS, or your organization, or perhaps you've just begun a new role and could benefit from some guidance. Keep watching, as our RealXchange mentorship program could be a great fit for you. RealXchange is an online hub for resources, knowledge exchange, and learning. A site where products, tools, and services are available to assist organizations to improve services. The Knowledge Translation and Transfer Initiative, or KTT, is supported in partnership with Community Living Essex County, Partners for Planning, and the Ontario Disability Employment Network, with support from the Ministry of Children, Community, and Social Services. Through this RealXchange KTT initiative, we offer a mentorship program where mentees can connect with sector leaders, or mentors, who have experience and expertise in one of 13 categories. A mentor is an experienced professional who provides informal guidance and knowledge and shares their experiences to help mentees grow and develop their desired skills and competencies and help to achieve their career goals. A mentee is a self-motivated person committed to personal and professional growth who actively seeks advice and guidance from a mentor. Let's talk about the RealXchange mentorship program process. When you sign up as a mentee, a mentor will be selected from our roster based on your preferred learning outcomes. Both parties will receive a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, which outlines your roles and responsibilities. Once signed, I will connect you both via an introductory email and will include a brief training module for your viewing prior to commencing your mentorship relationship. From there, you can connect with each other however best suits you both, whether via email, video chat, phone calls, or in-person meetings. We ask that mentors and mentees commit to communicating with each other at a minimum of 4 hours over the span of a 3-month period. At the end of your mentorship connection, you both will receive a brief survey to evaluate your experience and to help us at RealXchange make improvements to our program. The RealXchange mentorship program is open to anyone in the developmental services sector looking to learn and grow their skills. Whether it's your first day on the job or you've been in the DS sector for many years, there is always something new to learn. And as I always like to say, knowledge is power. So if you have what it takes to be a mentor, or if you're interested in learning from an experienced leader as a mentee, please complete the application on the RealXchange website today, and let's connect.
Thank you, Ingrid. We're really proud of the program that we've created, especially since it was, like I said, created by the members and for the members. When asked whether or not our members prefer to be mentored by someone within their organization versus someone outside their organization, the overwhelming response received was that members prefer to be mentored by someone outside their organization. Why, you ask? Well, there's a few reasons. Well, first, being mentored by someone externally offers mentees a fresh perspective, a fresh set of eyes, and experiences from different agencies and even different backgrounds. They can offer insights and solutions that may not be readily apparent to those within your organization and may be constrained by internal processes or biases. These external mentors can offer unbiased advice since they really have no vested interest in the internal politics or the dynamics of your organization. And this allows them to provide guidance without being influenced by internal agendas or even personal relationships. Next, mentors from outside the organization, outside your organization rather, can introduce you to new contacts, resources, and opportunities that you may not have had access to within your organization's network. And so this can help you to broaden your professional network and connect you with individuals who can support your career growth. Often it's hard to see, beyond your four office walls and think that only the information lies within those walls, but there's such a plethora of knowledge outside. So really important that you're tapping into that to broaden your professional networks. And since external mentors are not directly tied to your organization, they can provide honest and objective feedback without fear of any repercussion. This accountability can help you stay focused as a mentee on your goals and push you to achieve greater levels of success. Another reason is that external mentors often have specialized expertise in specific work areas that may not be available internally, especially if you're a much smaller organization. It's harder to get that specialized expertise. And so whether it's a leadership development or a sector-specific knowledge or even technical skills, external mentors can offer valuable insights and guidance tailored to your individual needs. And lastly, and most importantly, I think, our mentors shared that they just felt more comfortable and less intimidated to seek mentorship from someone external to their agency for their neutral perspective, their freedom to express their concerns or share mistakes without worrying about how that looks or how it may affect their professional reputation. It also avoids any potential conflicts of interest or office politics, and there may be less perceived power dynamics at play. So all of that information came right from our members' fingertips per survey. So overwhelming, they decided that, yeah, you know what, I think external mentorship is the way to go. And we've seen great success with it so far. Another topic I wanted to touch on today was the difference between onboarding and mentorship. Often people confuse the two for the same things. But while both are essential processes in the professional world, they serve different purposes and operate at different stages of a person's integration into an organization. So the focus of onboarding is really primarily just providing the necessary resources and information. So your policies, your procedures, what the work culture is like, what your specific role is, those types of things to help the new employee become acclimated quickly into their new surroundings. This is the orientation phase of a person's work journey in an organization. And it no doubt comes with a lot of paperwork, initial paperwork within your HR or your HR department as well. Mentorship, on the other hand, is a more ongoing and more personalized relationship that focuses on providing guidance, support, and advice to help a mentee grow personally and professionally. Unlike onboarding, which is typically standardized for every single employee and every single new hire, mentorship is tailored to the specific needs and goals of the mentee. So I hope that I've piqued your interest in getting involved in the Real Xchange mentorship program, whether as a mentor or a mentee. Our mentor lineup is continuously expanding, and we feature some exceptionally knowledgeable individuals. So if you or someone you know would be a great mentor to professionals within agencies who support people with disabilities, please fill out the application on Real Xchange today or encourage your contacts and connections to do so. If you yourself are searching for the perfect opportunity to gain knowledge, skills, and confidence by connecting with a seasoned professional, please fill out the mentee application on Real Xchange today or scan the QR code here. Sorry, go ahead, Ingrid.
Amanda, I was just going to say, I typically don't want to interrupt you, but there is a question on the Q&A related to mentorship that I think it's prudent to ask. And the question was, is it free to get a mentor?
Yes, everything on Real Xchange is free. Our favorite four-letter F word, free. So everything that you access on Real Xchange is free. The mentorship program access is free. Connecting with a mentor, free. But you know what's not free, and it's actually priceless, is the knowledge that you'll gain, and the connections that you'll make and the friendships that you'll make. So like I said, there have been some really great successes that have even gone beyond the initial 4-hour commitment. So it's 4 hours across the span of a 3-month period. But we found that some of our relationships have connected so well that they're continuing that relationship on their own because they're learning so much from each other. So yes, totally free.
And I think another one, and I know that we have a Q&A, but just this concept of province, whether it's only in Ontario or open to Canada.
Yeah, so it's open. It's open. We have no constraints. We have no borders. As long as you are interested in providing mentorship or you're interested in being menteed, we welcome you to sign up, and we'll get you somebody who can help you. As a mentee, somebody who can help you achieve those goals that you're setting out. And as a mentor, someone who is looking to learn from the knowledge, the skills, and the abilities that you have, garnered over your long seasoned careers in your specific sector. So I hope that answers that question. So in addition to our 3 main pillars on Real Xchange, we do have a dedicated resource section on the site where our members can access helpful documents or websites. Our resource page includes a variety of categories, And it's a constant work in progress, really, as it should be, because new knowledge is always coming in, information is always being shared. So it's a constant work in progress. Under this resources tab, you'll also find a designated page to our newly modernized core competencies. Here you can access the core competency cafe webinars and the presentation slide decks that do go along with them. If you sign up to become a Real Xchange member today, you'll get access to the next core competency cafe, which is being held on March 27th. You'll also be directed to the CC website where you can download the core competencies themselves, along with the dictionary, some self-assessment tools, amongst other useful items. Under this resources tab as well, you'll find an ever-growing, helpful repository of information on equity, diversity, and inclusion, which will include documents and links in 8 categories. And I just wanted to mention that this EDI resources page is a formal collaboration between the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Community of Practice, the Central Region's Anti-Racism and EDI Subcommittee, and Real Xchange. So this EDI resource page actually launched June 2023, and yet it still remains one of our top performing pages on Real Xchange, showing that there's a need and a thirst and a want for this type of information in our sector and in sectors beyond, especially with agencies who are at different stages of their EDI implementation journey. So we're finding that there's a lot of traffic in this section of our site. I also wanted to mention that Real Xchange KTT also enlists the help of an advisory panel whose members are asked to provide insights, either from lived experience or through collaboration, and they help to inform the content or draw attention to, what's happening broadly within our sector and beyond. It's important that we're aided by an advisory panel to ensure that the content that we're sharing or that we're proposing for Real Xchange is timely, it's relevant, it's useful to those in our sector and in sectors that provide services to people with disabilities. Our advisory panels are geographically diverse, which I think is important so that we have proper representation. But they themselves are family members. They're people with lived experience. They are people with people working and experience in post-secondary institutions. They work in community agencies. And we feel it's imperative to stay connected to all parts of Ontario and beyond where we can to ensure that Real Xchange is providing the knowledge and information needed in alignment with the Ministry's Reform Plan Journey to Belonging from many perspectives and many geographic locations. So you've heard all about Real Xchange, our KTT initiative, and from our partner organizations. You know that Real Xchange aims to be your one-stop shop for information in our sector and beyond for any agency who is providing services to people with disabilities. But how do we continue this information superhighway? How do we continue, building on the superhighway? Well, we cannot possibly know everything that's transpiring in our sector and in sectors beyond that are providing services to people with disabilities. So we want and we need to hear from you. So we ask you to collaborate with us. We want to be able to highlight and share best practices and knowledge that you've gained from projects or initiatives with as many people as possible. So we ask that you please consider submitting your project or initiative findings to the KTT network. We'll help you package your documentation and learnings into an engaging, user-friendly module. And so typically our modules include, the information itself, but it also includes a section of supporting documents that'll help you along with the module itself. And by doing so, we're forging forward with knowledge translation and transfer. After all, knowledge was meant to be shared, and I wholeheartedly believe that knowledge is not meant to stay up here. It's meant to be shared for the greater good of those that you serve in whatever your role is within your organization. And speaking of sharing, if you or your agency have resources you feel would be a good fit for Real Xchange, please email us or feel free to connect with me after today's presentation. Like I said, our resources are constantly changing because we're always coming into new information and new resources. So we would love to share anything that you feel would be a good fit for our site. And so while I believe Marina and Mercedes have added the Real Xchange link into the chat there, I do want to invite you to become a member of Real Xchange today if you are not already one. Signing up, I've said, is fast, it's free, and we take extra care to ensure you're receiving just enough communication from us. I can appreciate how busy each and every single one of you are, in your work, and you don't need, something filling up your inbox every single day. So we take extra care and caution to make sure you're getting just enough and just what you're looking for to keep you in the loop about all of our upcoming KTT events, any of our new modules, some of the ones that Ingrid had mentioned, or resources that have been posted. So feel free to capture the QR code here if you can, or alternatively, like I mentioned, Mercedes and Marina have added the link in the chat there. And so just as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this quote, truly one of my favorites in the world of knowledge, translation, and transfer, and that is, knowledge is power as long as it is shared. So really take that with you and implement it. Wherever you have knowledge and people are looking for that knowledge or information, share it if you can. And so just wanted to thank you for your time and for your attention today. And I think I'll pass it back to Ingrid if there are any questions.
We have a couple, so this is really great. Thank you, Amanda. There was at the beginning a question about knowledge exchange and what sort of information is being shared. Is there a way of tracking what information is in demand and targeting adding that to the platform? So I think some you answered, but the question about how do you track what is being, what is in demand and targeting that as what is being offered.
Sure, that's actually a fantastic question. So I think it's just through conversation, through collaborations. Once we're at conferences and things like that, we kind of hear what's top of mind for other agencies and other organizations that are serving people with disabilities. Look out for a Power BI dashboard on RealXchange, which is actually going to be accessing and assessing in real time what top of mind topics are for agencies that are supporting people with disabilities. And so that will inform the content that we're sharing or proposing to our advisory panel each fiscal year.
Thank you, Amanda. And there was a question about your existence. I suppose it means the existence of the KTT outside on or in other provinces as well.
So we are based in Essex, Ontario. Community Living Essex County is based in Essex, Ontario, but a website really can go anywhere, right? So it's available and open to anyone who's looking for the resources. I would say 90% of everything that we post is applicable to agencies not agencies, but provinces across our country. Sometimes there are specific things that are specific to provinces or counties or organizations even, but that's a very small number of those types of items.
Yeah, and I can maybe augment on that response by indicating that for Odin, some of our members have a national footprint. So think of the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, the Canadian Hearing Society. So all of those members are receiving some of these materials as well and implemented it in their own provinces. And some of the resources are really not province specific. And I also know that you're translating now your resources to French as well.
Yes, we are. So we're planning to launch our mirrored version of our English modules into French for our Francophone friends, because we believe accessibility is important, in all different facets. So that should be launching in the next couple of weeks. So if that's something that you're interested in and something that you're looking for, it'll be on RealXchange soon enough.
Going back to mentorship, we have a question in regards to, is mentorship available for seasoned professionals as well as general support?
Absolutely. It's open to anyone looking for, assistance and trying to achieve some goals and some learnings. We've had mentors who have turned into mentees and mentees who have turned into mentors. So there's no boundary. I'd say there's no, there's no criteria that you have to follow or fall into. So if you're looking to learn, sign up.
And just tag into that response, do you have a mentor in the field of HR?
Absolutely, we do. Actually, she's one of our most requested mentors. I think she's on her fourth mentorship relationship, because the connections are 4 hours over the span of 3 months. So they're fairly quick, but again, some of them do last a little bit longer. But yes, we do have mentors, but we're also always asking for more, because just because we have one specific mentor in human resources doesn't mean we need multiple. And I think we have 4 or 5, I think, that are in the human resources field. But one is just specific person is just constantly being asked to be a mentor.
The next one is, are these services only available to persons in the DS sector? I work with a volunteer organization, not directly tied to the sector.
It's open for anybody who's serving people with developmental disabilities. And again, it just depends on what your learning outcomes or your learning goals are. And that's how I kind of match you with a specific mentor. If you're a mentee looking for a mentor, it really just depends on what your goals are that you're outlining in your application. And that's how I match you to somebody who I think is going to be a good fit. And I don't just, you're looking for human resources and this person offers human resources and the two of you shall connect. It's deeper than that. I really look into your goals and make sure that what the mentor has experience and expertise in is what they'll be able to provide, based on what your specific goals are.
Yeah, and I think the question was also related to the resources in general. Do they apply beyond just the developmental sector?
They apply to people with services that are helping people with disabilities, not necessarily developmental services, which I do have to say the majority of them are for developmental services sector, just because that's the way we started out. But our resources are continuously expanding and just assisting people with in other sectors who serve people with disabilities as well.
And being mindful of the time, how did you originally gain the funding for this initiative? Was this a proposal to a call for application, or did you approach this as your own idea?
That is a question that I do not have the response to. It was before my time. But I can, if you want to email me, I can toss my email in the chat and I can get an answer to you if that's what you're looking for. I vaguely feel like it was an initial proposal, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I would not have that answer either, but I'll move on to the next one. Are services through Partners for Planning and Odin also free for individuals? So I can respond to Odin's part. Some of our services are absolutely no fee. So for example, if you had an employer that's looking to connect to hire people who have a disability and you want us to connect them to one of our employment service providers, no fee attached. If you're looking for training or other consulting services, Odin does provide those and they are at a fee for service. Partners for Planning, I believe, also has some fee-for-service opportunities, but a lot of their stuff, a lot of their products that you see on their websites will be accessible at no cost. Next one, are there any resources on the KTT for organizations who want to support individuals who have a disability to become volunteers?
I can say that we do not have that, but if that's something that you have information on or are looking for information, I can certainly put that out to our group and we can start collecting information for that. But it sounds like you may have information that could be beneficial for RealXchange. So if that's something that you have, please send me an email and then we'll see how we can get those resources on our site so that other people can benefit from it, because knowledge is meant to be shared.
I think this may be the last one. Last question. Is there a mentor available with psychotherapy and business experience, both in one or two separate mentors?
I'm sorry, what was the second?
Psychotherapy and business experience. Do you have somebody that may fit that profile?
That is not currently one of our categories on RealXchange, no.
I think we might have answered everything, and we are at 1:53. I did see a note about people connecting in the mentorship, but people who have a disability. So I don't know if you have currently any members, any mentors or mentees who self-disclose as having a disability, Amanda?
We do not. We do not. But I think if you're looking for a mentorship program specifically for a person that you provide supports to, I would recommend the Mentorability program through the March of Dimes.
Yeah, and I was also going to say the same, and I'm going to put that in the chat while I pass the microphone back to you, Amanda.
I just wanted to thank everybody for their time and their attendance today. To Mercedes, Marina, and to Charlie, thank you so much for having us, and I will pass it back on to Mercedes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for presenting such an informative webinar today. And thank you to Melissa for conducting the ASL interpretation for today's session. I just wanted to remind everyone that you will receive a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the webinar recording. Please feel free to share this link with your colleagues. The email will also include a survey link that you can fill out with your feedback on today's webinar. You should see a survey link pop up right here in Zoom following the session as well. On behalf of Charity Village, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you'll join us for our next free webinar, A Day in Your Life with Outsourced Back Office Functions. You can find more information on this and all of our upcoming webinars at charityvillage.com/webinars. Thanks again for joining us today. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.